All right. We are going to start recording here. I just want to say good evening or good morning, good afternoon, wherever you guys are at. A lot of you are stretched all over the world right now. And we're going to take a little bit different course than what we intended to do initially. I wanted to talk about autism initially. And what I've decided to do, I was just led by the Spirit just recently to really get after this coronavirus. Today's the 11th, March 11th, and the World Health Organization has just declared a pandemic. Now, anyone who's educated on health knows that this isn't really as serious as many are making it out to be. However, if we do not do our due diligence, we could get caught off guard, get caught on our heels, and that's never a good thing. So again, the more knowledge you have and the ability to apply that knowledge to any situation such as this coronavirus, the better off you'll be. The more people you'll be able to help in your immediate circle and even outside that circle. And so for those who wanted to talk about autism, my apologies. I do believe, though, that this topic, in a roundabout way, will encompass many of the same genes and pathways that surround autism in reality, such as cytosine methylation and things of that nature. And so, without further ado, I did come across a lot of different links this past week. I actually started throwing together a research paper on this topic that I'm going to make public. And so, but for this class, we're going to go way more in depth. We're going to cover a lot more material than I'm going to display in the public eye, which will be for your consumption only. So, playing off of last week we learned how to basically take a symptom, basically an unknown symptom, cross-reference that with the word gene to discover either one, a medical term, or B, a gene. And so we already know the medical term for coronavirus, right? It's literally coronavirus. So we don't need to cross-reference any type of symptom with the word gene. We already have a good idea of what type of information or term that we can plug into the cards, specifically the gene cards and the Mala cards. So when we go and do a search for this particular strain, we find a Wikipedia link called Severe Acute Respiratory Syndrome Related Coronavirus. Now, this is the actual name of the virus, okay? They're calling it right here COVID/19, right? Coronavirus 2019, late December is when it actually came out, okay? And again, they're declaring this a global pandemic, all right? And so it's of great importance that we educate ourselves and in turn educate others on the mechanisms of action that are surrounding the coronavirus, right? So this is what we're going to do today. We are going to start plugging some of this data and some of this information into the cards and see what we can find, okay? Now, I was privy to come across a really nice link here. Don't even ask me how I came across this link. But here's kind of a general map of where we're at now with the coronavirus. I know for a fact it's up towards my area, Spokane. I'm in Pacific Northwest, up in the United States here. And it really hasn't hit our local area yet, as far as I know. But it is within a 2-hour radius of us. So, I mean, it's just a matter of time before people start panicking, right? And that's something that we don't need to do, right? We don't need to fear something when we have the knowledge to apply different courses of action surrounding that, right? That dispels the fear of the sphere, right? So this is a really interesting paper that was put together by a gentleman named Josh Farkas, March 2nd, 2020. So basically just last week. This is a general overview of this particular virus, okay? So it says here, this is a RNA virus, okay, which basically is a retrovirus, right? It gets into the RNA and then retranscribes itself back up into the DNA and then literally rewrites your code using what's called alternative splicing. Okay, so we're not going to really get into all that today. We can get into alternative splicing, but that's a pretty in-depth, highly complicated subject. But they do give us some good general information surrounding this. So we see here that this particular strain is a part of a family of coronaviruses, right? We've got MERS, a Middle Eastern virus, and then we've got SARS, right? And this is what they're saying. There's 4 coronaviruses already widely distributed and usually cause the common cold, but can cause viral pneumonia in patients with comorbidity. So what they're saying is if you're already immunocompromised, you're at risk, right? Especially the elderly. And if you're young, when your immune system hasn't fully developed, you're also at risk. Okay, so this is going to make matters worse. It says here SARS and MERS, these cause the epidemics with high mortality, which are somewhat similar to coronavirus 19. And right here is the kicker. The coronavirus 19 is most closely related to SARS, which is what they're saying here. This is the actual name of the virus. SARS-R-CoV here. And they're going to give us a gene, ACE2 gene. So with that kind of information, we can take that kind of information and literally plug it into the gene cards over here, right? So if I took just the word coronavirus and just plug that into a search engine over here, it's going to tell me the #1 gene is ACE2. It's also going to give me some more genes down here, which are all, I'd say probably the top 10 right here. Heck, even the top 15 are going to be extremely important. I might even go down to 19 here, okay? Just because I know what those genes are and I know what they do. But if we just took that information and plugged it in here, you can see that the gene cards are going to give us what the #1 gene is. Now, if we took coronavirus and we plug that into the mallocards, let's see, corona, even if I just say coronavirus, let's do it over so you can see what type of information they're going to give us. Now, they just updated this with the 2019 novel coronavirus. Okay. So right down here, the 4th link is the one that they're saying it's the most closely related to, SARS. But we also have clinical manifestations, also called acute respiratory coronary infection, right, or ARDS. So SARS and ARDS are going to be the most closely related to this virus, okay? And so we can literally click on that link over here, again, to the mallocards, and it's going to give us a really nice description of what this is. It gives us the gene, it gives us the super pathways, it gives us the top related diseases associated right over here. It gives us the top affiliated genes with those different diseases, right? So we can start to basically look at what things are held in common in the sea of possibilities, and then literally connect the dots on this stuff, right? But if you remember last week, they give you drugs and compounds, right? And on this particular link, they're going to give us basically 37. Okay, most of these are going to be drugs. Calcium is not. So if you have a pen and paper, I suggest you start writing this down, right? Because I'm not going to create a document for this particular class. You'll have to wait. I'm actually producing a document over here with some pretty relevant information. All right, but we're going to put that on the back burner for now. So we see calcium, calcium, calcium. So calcium is going to be extremely important. We see antiretroviral agents. Right now, I could probably stop right there and do a search, right? So now we're getting into the mechanisms of action surrounding some of the compounds that they're listing. Natural antiretroviral agents plus the word herb. These are literally the keyword searches that you need to be doing when you're looking for compounds. Okay, put the word natural right in front, put the word herb right in back. And that will hone in on your keyword search. Medicinal plants used antiretroviral. Okay. Now, in most of these cases, they're going to list HIV. In the gene cards and in the malacards, anytime you're dealing with the retrovirus, they will always list it as HIV. So just make note of that. Are we dealing with HIV? Not per se. However, a lot of these viruses use the same mechanisms of entry into the cell, which we will cover. So you could literally do a search here. This is a 2018 study here, antiretroviral compounds, right? And that's just basically taking the information, anti-HIV, antiretroviral, antiviral agents, right? And doing a keyword search and looking for the compounds that are outside the scope of the cards for what it is we need to do. Right? Pathophysiology, diagnosis, we are looking for compounds. Right? New drugs, no thanks, natural products. Okay, what are they going to list here? Here's where it starts. The natural products right here. Flavonoids, curcumins, uracilic acid, betulinic acid, right here. So if I typed in betulinic acid, right, that's what they're saying. Betulinic acid sources. In other words, where can I get betulinic acid in an herb? Right? Many of you view various botanical sources of betulinic acid. Okay, so now we're starting to connect the dots. Just basically going off of what they're saying on the malacards as antiretroviral. So betulinic acid has huge antiretroviral or RNA, anti-RNA viral capabilities. Okay, so I'm just giving you an example here. I know that there is a compound, and I'm just going to help you guys along the way here. Prunella vulgaris consists of uracilic acid and betulinic acid. It has them both. Okay, it's got all kinds of stuff in there, not just that either. Anti-allergic, anti-inflammatory. There's all kinds of studies on this. So here's the link down here, Prunella vulgaris. This is probably my number one go-to for viruses. Okay, you can literally buy this. They call it self-heal or heal all. Okay, let's see. Here's the part of the chemistry. This is what it has in it. You can look up all these compounds in relation to viruses, and you will see that most of these compounds that they have listed, or the chemistry of the plant, the compounds listed in the chemistry for the plant, all have antiretroviral capabilities. Okay. The plant is considered by the Chinese to change the course of chronic disease. Now, if the Wuhan virus is an RNA virus and betulinic acid is an antiretroviral agent, Why are they talking about vitamin C? Is my question. They should be, because this is coming right out of China. Change the course of chronic disease. Okay? Stay with me, because it's already got vitamin A, C, and K, as well as other flavonoids. Okay? You see how you can begin to find compounds in nature that have the most vitamins, have basically the most biochemistry in them for the maximum. You want the maximum impact. That's what you want when you're choosing which compounds that you want to utilize to help yourself. You want the compounds that impact the most pathways simultaneously, and you want the compounds that are going to, as they say here, change the course of chronic disease. Okay? So that's just by them referencing it. So a lot of times they leave you clues in the malacards. This is my point. They will leave clues in the malacards for you. Then it's your job as basically a medical investigator to go outside the scope of the cards and search for that term. Okay? And I just showed you how you could do that. Let me backtrack here and show you once again. Natural antiretroviral agents. So I'm using the keyword natural and then the word herb on the back end. And that limits, that basically hones in on the papers. It's going to put the papers right on top of the search bar for you in the search engine. Okay? There's all kinds of studies. You've got 7,770,000 results here. Okay. I'm just showing you what was one of the first ones they mentioned was betulinic acid. Okay. So you could even take betulinic acid. This is another way you can use the cards. Where's that word? Betulinic acid. Here we go. You could even take betulinic acid, for example, and plug it right into the gene cards. Okay, and that way you can see, because they do list betulinic acid on tons of these genes in these gene cards. You wouldn't know that until you have searched almost every single gene in the gene card, but that's what they do. They'll list the compounds in here. So betulinic acid, oh, that's the #1 gene for betulinic acid. It just happens to be the #1 cancer gene. Isn't that interesting? Okay, so in our studies here, the things I'm going to show you in relation to coronavirus, you're going to see caspase-3 listed. You're going to also see BCL2 listed. Okay, so keep that in mind. I'm just showing you how you can use these cards. All right, I may be going pretty fast here for you guys. So if we go back to what they're describing here in this Wikipedia link, right? It's going to give you some initial information up front. This is all great stuff. Okay, I'm more interested in, let me see if I can come down here. We've got the life cycle. What is the life cycle of this virus? Okay. The attachment of the SARS-related coronavirus to the host cell is mediated by the spike protein and its receptor. The spike protein receptor binding domain recognizes and attaches to angiotensin converting enzyme 2, or ACE2. Hence, ACE2. You see that? Okay. Following the attachment, the virus can enter the host cell by 2 different paths. So once it hits ACE2, it can go 2 different ways. The path the virus takes depends on the host protease available to cleave and activate the receptor attached spike protein. Okay, blah, blah, blah. The first path the coronavirus can take to enter the cell is by endocytosis. Anytime you see endocytosis and exocytosis, this is what's referred to as clathrin. right? I'm just going to save you the trouble here. We're going way far advanced with this. This is important. Okay. So it says here, the endocytosis and exocytosis of vesicles allows cells to communicate, to transfer nutrients, to import signaling receptors, and to mediate an immune response after sampling the extracellular world, to clean up the debris left by tissue inflammation. And it also says that this pathway, the endocytic pathway, can be hijacked by viruses and other pathogens in order to gain entry into the cell. Hence, why they're referencing endocytosis. That's clathrin. There's a very specific gene for clathrin, and it is regulated by mannose. I'm going to save you the trouble here. It is regulated by mannose. We're going to find other genes and other pathways that are also going to list mannose under the drugs and compounds when we are dissecting this novel 2019 coronavirus. And I will show you. Okay. So then it goes on and says that this receptor attached spike protein is then activated by the host pH-dependent cytosine protease cathepsin L, right? Cathepsin L. So then we can actually take that, because that's the name of a gene, and we can look at that information as well. Okay. You can literally type that into the gene card. There's a gene for it. So then now we're starting to really understand what the heck's going on. Yeah, let me get some of this stuff out of the way here. Now you'll hear a lot of people talking about ACE2. Yes, it's very important to modulate, and we will. We will get into that. But there it is. There's the gene for it. So we're just going to leave that on the back burner for now. Okay. You might actually scroll down and see if they've got any drugs or compounds. There's bacterial infection. So that would be secondary to the virus, because that's typically what happens. The virus comes in, disengages your immune system, and then you end up with a secondary bacterial infection. Okay. That's generally what happens, especially in immunocompromised people. But again, as I kind of showed you in the last class here, you can scroll down to see if they have any drugs or compounds listed. They've got 46 drugs. Okay. So right off the bat, we can look for a natural papain inhibitor, a natural calpain inhibitor for that particular gene. If we go outside the scope, right? So I'm going to save you the trouble. I think I might actually have this in my database here. Control F for search, calpain. Calpain inhibitors. There's 2 studies right here. So we've got Danshin, which would probably be my go-to. And I'll tell you why, is because that same compound, Chinese red sage or Danshin, is also an ACE inhibitor. ACE2 is the gene for the coronavirus. Okay. And right down here, we've got fucoidium, which is extremely important compound. So those would probably be my 2 go-tos. And you could do straight quercetin here, but there's compounds that already have that in it. Right? For example, if I did a search for Prunella vulgaris, it already literally has that compound in there. Okay. Let me see if I spell that correctly. Quercetin. There we go. So it's got that in there already. Prunella vulgaris already has that in there. Right? So we have to think smart. We need to pick the compounds in nature that have the most biochemistry and biomolecules already attached to them. Okay. We need to think smart. That way we can cover more genes and more pathways to extend the health benefit even more. Okay, so calpain inhibitor, danshin, prunella vulgaris, because it's got quercetin in there, right? And where was I? Colostrum might be another good one here, but fucoidian. Fucoidian's great because fucoidian hits the same receptors that the retrovirus use, like glycoprotein 160, for example, 120, 160, which is basically how the HIV retrovirus also attaches itself. Okay, killing two birds with one stone. Okay, so back to what they have listed here. So we know, again, that in order to modulate cathepsin L, however you pronounce that, I'm not going to pronounce everything right, okay? Just get over it. And I don't have to be a genius to do this. All I need to know is what gene they're referencing and what compounds will modulate that gene. That's literally all I need to know. So we know that prunella vulgaris, because it's a calpain inhibitor, because it has quercetin in it, is a calpain inhibitor, okay? And danshin and fucoidian or bladderwrack will also do the same purpose, okay? And we know that because it referenced endocytosis, that's related to clathrin, and therefore mannose will also be extremely beneficial. So that's where we're at right now. We haven't even gotten into the gene yet, okay? It's going to list a protease right here. These are all clues. So if I wanted to, right out of the gate, go natural protease inhibitor plus the word herb, I might be able to find some things. Plant protease inhibitors, okay, antimicrobial activities. HIV protease inhibitor. Let me see if I've got anything in my matrix here for protease. Probably do. There it is. HIV protease inhibitor. Resveratrol. Genistein. Now, a lot of people don't like using genistein because it's a soy product. Okay. So a way around that is through the use of what's called kudzu root. Kudzu root has the same bioactive molecule as genistein. Go down to the Wikipedia link. Diazidan and what's the other compound that literally convert phytochemicals and uses? There it is. Diazidine, diazazine, structurally related to genistein. Okay, so kudzu root is going to be extremely beneficial. Just to cross-reference and double-check, right, in the mouth of 2 or 3 witnesses, so that thing shall be established. If I took kudzu root and typed in retrovirus, for example, I'll probably find some data. There it is, all kinds of stuff. Potent suppression of HIV attachment by kudzu root. You see? That's another compound. So, protease, HIV protease inhibitor is literally what we're looking for, can be found in resveratrol and kudzu root. Okay? Let's see. Let me go back here. Giving you examples. Where was I? Natural plant protease inhibitor. What else are they going to list here? Just giving you guys examples of how you can take clues that they're listing in here and perform other keyword searches in a different search engine to get the answer that you want. I haven't even got into the picture yet because the picture is worth 1,000 words. Okay. They're going to list another gene down here, right? And we see that gene, TMPRSS2, whatever the heck that is. That's the second gene listed when you type in coronavirus in the gene cards. So we're using the gene cards to basically minimize how much time we're spending going to outside resource to extrapolate information, right? Because this is an information game. The more information you have, the better. Right, so we're going to look at all these things. We also see DPP4 down here listed. Now, if I just go back to the Wikipedia link, okay, and I click on this image, because a picture is worth 1,000 words, I see some genes listed up here for attachment and entry. Obviously, ACE2's here, so is DPP4. So that's another gene we can dissect. And at the end of the day, we'll have many compounds, right, in our toolbox to combat the mechanisms of action that are utilized by a lot of these RNA viruses, not just corona here, okay? So let me close some of these windows down over here before we move on, so we don't lose track of where we're at. Okay, so the virus is attaching itself using these genes here. So you can look up all these genes on the gene cards. Okay, then it's going to utilize, comes down here, right, and it moves into transcription. These are some of the transcription factors, right? They're mentioning genes down here. We're not gonna go through every single one of these genes, or maybe we will by the end of the month. Maybe for now we'll just stick to attachment and entry, and then eventually we'll move our way down into here. But there are literally genes for this ERGIC. I've already looked them up, did a little free homework for you guys. Okay, but we want to be able to stop it at the door. Now, if it gets past the door and it starts coming in here into the nucleus, right? Gets into the RNA first, retranscribes itself into back up into the DNA, uses alternative splicing to basically rewrite your code, and it causes a whole host of issues. We want to stop at the door. So let's turn actually to the Malacards for what they're referencing here. Okay, let me go back over to this pretty little link over here, because they stated that it's most closely related to SARS. That is literally SARS. There it is. Severe acute respiratory syndrome. And just to kind of backtrack, how did I get there? Is through the simple keyword search in the Malacard. Severe acute respiratory syndrome. So again, coronavirus. There it is. That's what they're saying it's most closely related to. This number 4 one down here, severe acute respiratory syndrome. But you could literally take all these links here, dissect them all, and formulate a tremendous plan of action. Okay? So let's quail the fear and start arming ourselves with knowledge and information and apply that. Okay? So if I just went over here again to coronavirus infection, and I went down to the drugs again, they're going to list some stuff, right? We see calcium. Everything else here is pretty much a drug, or it's a reference to some other type of thing. We've looked at protease inhibitors, right? Because they listed that on the Wikipedia link. Anything that's referenced, you should look at it. And they're not just leaving nuggets there as clues for no particular reason. It's up to us to do our due DNA diligence to find out what they're talking about and how we can go about basically modulating that channel or gene or pathway or whatever it is we need to do. right? And if they reference it, again, look it up. Okay. So let's see what else they're going to list here for. Let's see. Let's go back over to coronavirus here. Sorry, I'm jumping around a little bit. But I think this 2019, I'm just going to show you this because they're not really mentioning anything. They're saying it's most closely related to coronavirus infection, right? Coronavirus infection, which is what we're looking at now. And we've looked at the compounds, right, for that. And then they're also saying it's most closely related to severe acute respiratory syndrome, SARS. Okay. So if we come down and look and see if they have any compounds listed, no, they do not. Okay. Let's just click on that. Maybe I have a different link here. Severe acute respiratory syndrome. There it is. 78 compounds listed. Right? Again, they're going to give you the description. You'll hear people. You will hear people say to you, "This virus has mutated. Therefore, this does not apply." I've got news for you. They all use the same mechanisms. Okay, the virus. The only time a mutated virus matters is if they're trying to apply a vaccine to it. The old vaccine doesn't work on a new strain. You get it? It doesn't work like that. So I'm just going to put that out there because they do utilize the same mechanisms of action. If you looked up the 2013 pandemic with MERS, you're going to see what I did already. It has the same mechanisms. Okay. So this is what we're going to look at. Now they're going to list a lot of top affiliated genes. This is all fantastic information here. You see, tumor necrosis factor, tumor necrosis factor, tumor necrosis factor, and interleukin 6. So those will probably be my first two, and those are both what they call pro-inflammatory cytokine. And so what does this produce primarily? If we scroll down here, let me see, it was on here somewhere. Let me just look, cytokine. Right? It's not the actual virus that hurts you, it's the cytokine storm. Cytokine. Cytokine storm. The pathophysiology. The primary pathology is ARDS, which is acute respiratory distress syndrome. Okay, I can actually look that up on the cards over here. Where was I? I'm just going to open up a new window. So then we can start looking at SARS and ARDS because that's really what we need to do in this situation. Anytime they make reference to something, it behooves you to start looking that information up again. So that's what we're going to do. This is not scary stuff, guys. Not scary. ARDS. Let's see what they got. Adult respiratory distress syndrome. ARDS. There we go. All right, computer, stop looking out. Okay. So they're going to list another gene here. So we have two manifestations now of the coronavirus, just to backtrack. And we've got two medical terms. We've got SARS and we've got ARDS. Those are both searchable on the mallet cards. Okay. Now we can look at these genes, and we will. We are going to look at these genes. But for now, I want to see what kind of compounds, 414 compounds. Okay. Now we can come down here and we've got 78 compounds. listed. Now, these are pretty general to the medical terms, such as SARS. And when we take it a step further, we can even find more targeted compounds for specific genes and pathways as we kind of move along here. Okay. So just to backtrack, we've got mannose, fucoidian. What else do we have? Danchin, and we've got betulinic acid, which can be found in many different things, right? Chaga mushroom has betulinic acid in it. But I lean towards Prunella vulgaris because in China, they literally call it self-heal. Can change the course of disease. That's what they say. Oh, and we also got calcium. Yeah. So that's what they've listed so far. We've also got serotonin and dopamine from what they've listed. I'm going to leave that on the back burner. What else do they have? Zinc. So we know we need zinc and calcium for minerals. They've also got astragalus root listed. And ginkgo biloba also. And turmeric. Okay. That is for severe acute respiratory syndrome, or SARS, right? Because that's what they're listing this as. Again, if we scroll back up here, severe acute respiratory syndrome. Okay. I could probably stop right there. We're done. Class is over. No, we're going to go further. Okay. We're going to get into the genes and all this kind of stuff. I'm just showing you how you can use these cards to look up the drugs and compounds. Okay. But I'm more interested in how does this all kind of play out, right? I showed you that image back here. And this was a really good find. This image here. Error loading this image. I guess they don't want us to see it again. Where they talked about the 3 different receptors. All right, 1, 2, 3. ACE2 is the number 1. All right, and you've got the other ones. They don't even got AP2 listed down here. I'm just giving you examples. Okay, I hope I'm not losing you guys yet. I'm jumping around a whole lot here, and I do realize that. The point of me doing this is to show you how you can take a medical term that is referenced somewhere in relation to a disease, and you can apply this to anything. If they're giving you a medical term, it is searchable in the cards. And that's the point I'm trying to make here. All right, again, if I search for coronavirus back this way, the top 4 links all are in relation to what we need to be looking at. Okay. So let's close some of this stuff down so I don't lose track here. Okay. So this is coronavirus. That's great. But what we really want to be doing as far as the cards is ARDS and SARS. ARDS and SARS. Sound like a pirate. Adult Respiratory Distress Syndrome, ARDS. There we go. That's the one we want. Also known, where's it at? Also known as ARDS. See that? There it is, ARDS. That's what they're referencing. ARDS and SARS. Okay, we've established that. We've looked at some compounds for that. And again, here's all the clinical data surrounding a lot of different things that they're mentioning. Okay, publications as well. They've got 8,891 publications. So again, save yourself a lot of time and headache, and you can use, see, flavonoids and less, those are natural compounds. Inhibition of SARS protease by flavonoids. Use this information. Okay, genes related to severe acute respiratory distress syndrome. They're telling you what genes are related right there. Yeah. So what does SARS and ARDS have in common? Would be my next question. Adult respiratory syndrome. So we see PEDF signaling, PEDF signaling. So there's one thing held in common, right? And we're not going to look at the pathways this week. That stuff gets really complex. I want to be able to show you how to incorporate a system for due DNA diligence that has a lot to do with basically traffic signaling, as it were, right? Red light turned to green, right? And so we're going to start getting into that kind of stuff here momentarily. So again, if we go back, they're saying again that ACE2 is the #1 gene, okay? And that it's most closely related to SARS. So let's start moving on now and looking at the actual gene, okay? Again, that is a clickable link from the Malacards. Malacards are the Human Disease Database, or maladies, okay? So this is what's called angiotensin II converting enzyme. Okay, this is a bunch of highly technical jargon, and what I intend to do is extract the nuggets from this type of information. What is it doing? It's involved with the regulation of cardiovascular and renal function, as well as fertility. Right? That's why they give a lot of individuals with cardiovascular issues, heart disease, etc., ACE inhibitors, what they're called. Those are drugs. But there are natural compounds found in nature that can do the same job. And those are what we want, right? So diseases associated with ACE2, right? They're just referencing each other. The Malacards references ACE2, ACE2 references the Malacards. That's how it kind of works. Among its related pathways are agents acting on renin-angiotensin system pathway, okay, and peptide hormone metabolism. An important paralog is ACE. We got ACE1 and basically ACE2, right? So we can look at that as well. It'll give us information. Does it list any natural compounds? Does ACE2 list any natural compounds? Okay, again, before we get into all the highly technical jargon of what this does, you know, we can wrap our heads around that. That's some more advanced stuff, yes, but for a newcomer who's never seen any of this type of information before, heck, even health professionals might not even be familiar with this information, and I know that to be true. So I'm not knocking anybody. I'm just what I'm basically saying is they don't teach a lot of this stuff in school. Maybe they should, which is why I started this academy. Anyhow, what I'm interested in is finding out if they have any drugs and compounds listed for this gene. So if I'm scrolling down, where am I at on the browser? About halfway down the browser, they've got 24. So we're going to click on that and expand that out and see if they have any natural compounds listed. These are all drugs, drug. That is a natural compound here, phenylalanine. Chloride ion. That is a mineral, electrolyte mineral that you can take to impact the function of ACE2. I would be taking something that has chloride in it so that I can help regulate ACE2. So far we have zinc, calcium, and chloride. Those are all minerals. Write it down. Everything else here listed is a drug. But what they're going to list by proxy is the mechanism of action. You see that over here? Mechanism of action. Okay, so I probably want to look up a natural in a separate search bar. I'm just going to show you how to do this. Natural ACE2 or ACE inhibitor plus ERG, excuse me. And that will zero in on the research paper that have that type of information. Right, so that's not a research paper. That's a doctor's website. Although it's probably got, if he's done his due diligence, he probably has references, medical references to these. We know that Hawthorne is an ACE2 inhibitor, right? So a little caveat here. None of this is for diagnosis, treatment, prevention, mitigation of disease. What I'm showing you, this type of information is for research and data collection only, and you are advised to speak to a medical professional in your area before incorporating any of these compounds into your regimen. If you are on medication, such as a pharmaceutical ACE inhibitor, you will need to be monitored by a healthcare professional. Okay, that's my little caveat there. Do your due diligence. Okay, so again, we can look for natural ACE2 inhibitors. We have 1,170,000 results. Okay, but again, if we cut to the chase here, ACE inhibitor. Let me see if I can find something. There we've got genistein again. Genistein can also be found in red clover or kudzu root. You've already seen quercetin listed, which can be also found in Prunella vulgaris. We see chitosan, which is also found in NAG. And this is a glucosamine, has that active compound chitosan in it. Okay. Then we've got kaempferol. Kaempferol can be found in many things. All right, let's just do that. I think I threw out something earlier today. Kaempferol is phenomenal for what we're looking at and what we're dealing with. Kaempferol is the biomolecule or compound. And so we need to be able to figure out where we can get that from. I've got all kinds of stuff listed here that you can incorporate into your diet. It came for apples, grapes, tomatoes, green tea, potatoes, onions, broccoli, Brussels sprouts. You see a lot of those cruciferous vegetables here. Big time good for you. Squash, cucumbers, lettuce, green beans, peaches, blackberries, raspberries, and spinach. Plants that are known to contain kaempferol, including aloe vera. What's this one here? Scarlet ground. I don't even know what that is. Ivy gourd, right? What else do we got here? Is a parasitic plant. So I'll probably skip that one. I don't even know what it is. Is it even available for purchase? A lot of this stuff you can't even get for purchase. Glycine max. Glycine max is essentially soy, which is a nattokinase. Okay? Nattokinase. Nattokinase. Nattokinase is a natural heparin binding agent. Now, if you look down here, a lot of times they'll list heparin. Where'd it go here? They will list heparin. There it is, heparin. So if I cross-reference glycine, or let's do this, the human metabolome, where is that? Metabolome. Database. Showing you guys how you can go about finding out what compounds are what. This is another great resource. hmdb.ca. And let's say I wanted to look for a compound like glycine max. I'm going to just show you how I came to this conclusion that nattokinase is glycine max. Am I doing the right search bar here? Maybe not. Search. There we go. Where's glycine max? Anyhow, 405 results here. The long and short of it is, if I took glycine max and cross-reference it with a nattokinase, nattokinase is glycine max. You see that? So when I look up kaempferol as a natural ACE inhibitor over here in this particular study from functionalfoodcenter.net, they are going to tell me that glycine max is that. So they also have that listed here. So that's the point of it. So then we can look up nattokinase. Actually, let's do this. Nattokinase. How about we look up spermidine? I'm going a little bit off track here, but I'm going to show you some nuggets. You probably will not be able to find this in the cards. I've just done a lot of work here, and I'm going to share some stuff with you. Okay. Why is spermidine important? Spermidine synchronizes an array of biological processes such as calcium, sodium, potassium, ATP channels. Well, those are all your electrical channels. You are one big electrical unit. Therefore, by employing a compound like spermidine, you can help regulate a lot of the electrical signals coming in and out of the cell. Right? You're one big hydroelectric unit, essentially. You have aquaporin channels. Those are the plumbing system in the body, and you have electrical channels with calcium signaling sitting right in smack dab of the middle of it. So where are some dietary sources for spermidine? Well, we see soybean has 207 milligrams of it. So what is nattokinase? Is this basically fermented soy? So you've got many different mechanisms of action by employing a glycine max. So when I'm looking at compounds to pick and choose, I could probably go with aloe vera. That would be a wonderful choice. But I want compounds that are going to do the most and have the most impact across the board. Okay, we see moringa here. That's another great. That thing's jam-packed full of stuff. You can literally buy that as a supplement. Rosemary, okay, wonderful. And what do they got here? Sambucus nigra, or elderberry. Those are all great choices. So if I wanted to get those in foods, I would look at capers, saffron, arugula, kale, mustard green. Ginger is another great source for kaempferol. Ginger root extract, another great source. There's ginger display. If I did a cross search for ginger and coronavirus, will I find anything? Probably. Right? Lots of stuff on ginger here. Lots and lots of stuff on ginger. 60 million? Is that what I'm looking at? Holy crap. Okay, you see my point? Start taking this type of information that they're giving you and begin to start looking at it outside the scope of the cards, and you can double check your work. Okay. So again, we're looking at ACE and ACE2. ACE2, chloride ion. So if I cross-reference again, chloride ion plus corona virus. I'm not saying it's going to cure coronavirus. It's not what I'm saying at all. But the fact that a chloride ion, right, the uptake of chloride is lower in coronavirus. Antiviral innate immune response. Do you see what I'm seeing here? All kinds of references to chloride. Otherwise, they wouldn't list it right here. You see? But we want primarily an ACE inhibitor. This is what we want. Okay? What else do I got here? I don't know why I have it listed so many times. ACE inhibitor. Right? Danchin is another good one for an ACE inhibitor. Right? ACE inhibitor plus danchin. ACE activity was inhibited by the addition of danchin. Why is that important? Because this paper I'm throwing together over here, danchin serves many different purposes. Let's see where I'm at here. Natural compounds. So this is what we kind of already gone over. ACE inhibitors listed. Let's see. I'm getting ahead of myself here, but ACE. Danchin is also, and we're going to get there in a moment, is also what they call protein tyrosine phosphatase inhibitor. Okay, we're going to end up here in just a second. I'm getting a little ahead of myself. So if I wanted to kill two birds with one stone, hit it at the receptor, right? Hit the gene at the receptor and also hit it again with the same compound in let's say like the nucleus of the cell, I would choose a compound that does both. Make sense? There we go. Attachment, entry, assembly. Danchin's going to hit it all. Okay? So let's go back to ACE here. So a little bit earlier, I talked to you about a system called red light, turn to green. Right? Imagine you're a kid and you're in the back seat. At least this is what I did when I was a kid. We would try to time the stoplight for when it turned green. Red light, turn to green, and then boom, you'd go. I don't know, it was fun when we were kids. That it just always stuck with me. And it's funny that it did, because this is literally how these cards work. These are called interactive DNA string networks. Right here, you see this? This little diagram here is a map that is clickable. Yeah, I'm closing this stuff down over here. So we're looking at ACE2, number one gene, again, for coronavirus. As it says, 38.20 score. When you type in coronavirus into the cards. Probably going to be the number one gene to break down at this point, to dissect, looking at the interactive DNA string networks and all the super pathways as well. So again, back over here to the actual gene. If you scroll down to the interactive protein, now we're talking about protein to protein interactions. These are literally the highways and byways of the genes, right? Cellular trafficking, string interaction network. So again, I call it the interactive DNA string network. This is what I came up with. That's a clickable link. You click on that link, this pops up. Now we're connecting the dots, which is part of what we're doing here, connecting the dots. Okay, we're looking at the gene cards right now. So we see that the red node is the one listed on top, and it's for a very good reason. because it is the first shell of interactors. You guys see that here? First shell interacting protein. What that means is that the function of ACE2, which is the #1 gene associated with corona, the first shell interactor protein or gene will influence the way that ACE2 is expressed on a monumental level. Monumental. Okay? So it is very important to look at the red node in these dots. That is what's called CAT or catalase. Catalase is a natural antioxidant enzyme that your body produces on its own. Okay, these are all, I would implore you to look at all these. Okay, start looking at the networks. You see a lot of choline receptors down here. You see how many choline receptors? Choline receptor, choline receptor, choline receptor. Calcium gene, choline receptor, choline receptor, calcium gene, choline receptor, choline receptor. Do you see all that? Serotonin, a zinc gene. Okay? Look at all these calcium and choline genes. Lots of them. Lots and lots and lots. So just by looking at this, let's put catalase on the back burner for a second. If I typed in, because that's an actual supplement you could buy, acetylcholine, and I typed that in, and I looked up and cross-referenced that information with the corona virus. There we go. There we go. Well, that's a 1990 study. It's talking about hypoxia. Well, hypoxia is everything to do with oxygen. And what they've stated with this particular virus is it depletes your body's ability to transport oxygen. You see? There's a 2016 study. Yeah, coronavirus, blah, 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 muscarinic acetylcholine receptor. A lot of these choline receptors have to do with lungs, the function of the lungs. Acetylcholine receptor antagonist in acute respiratory distress syndrome. Do you see that? So just by looking at the interactive DNA string network, we can begin. There they go, ARDS. You see that? Acute respiratory distress syndrome. That's what they said. It's most closely, the pathology is most closely related to. Primary pathology is ARDS with cytokine storms. The cytokines being interleukin-6 and tumor necrosis factor. Okay? So, before we look at, I'm going to jump around here a little bit. I'm trying not to confuse you guys, but I might have missed a step. So in order, right, improved oxygenation. So by employing an acetylcholine receptor antagonist, you improve oxygenation to the lung. So what are we going to do? We're going to type in natural, just as I've taught you guys, natural acetylcholine receptor antagonist plus the word herb. Okay? All kinds of data and information. Let's see if I got anything in my database. Save a little bit of time here. No, acetylcholine. I'll probably just have it worded a little differently. Acetylcholine. How about we just go? Sorry for the delay here. Put them in differently a lot of times, and I never know. You never know what you're gonna get. What do we got? What do we got? But we just go. Oh, you know what? Hold on. Give me 2 seconds here. Nicotinic choline receptor. I saw one listed here. Because you've got two different kinds of choline receptors. You got the muscarinic choline receptor and the nicotinic choline receptor. Yeah. Oh, what the heck? Maybe we'll just click on the first link here. See what they list. Maybe I need to update my list. So let's see here. So again, why are we looking at this? Because all of these genes that are surrounding ACE2, a lot of them are choline receptors and calcium genes. So we need to look for those kinds of compounds. Okay. Yeah, lift it up here. Snake venom. So yeah, go get bit by a snake. Let's see what else they got. Plants and stuff and things. Marine origin. From a snail. What else they got? That's probably not the study. What is that? Traditional herbal, Japanese. I don't even know what that is. So again, I'm going to look it up. Is it something that's common? Right? Can I purchase it? Can I go over to shopping here and find it in a supplement? No, I can't. So it's probably not going to be readily available. I want to pick something that's readily available. Okay. So nicotinic, let me see here. A little hiccup along the way. No problem now. We're going to find what we're looking for. Nicotinic cholinergic receptor. Where are you at here? Cholinergic receptor. That's what I want. What did I put it in there as? Holy crap. I know I've got it in there. Just give me a second. I'm trying to cut down on the amount of time we're searching here. Cholinergic receptor. Choline 37. There we go. That's what I want. Okay. So this is basically what I want. This is the term, acetylcholinesterase receptor inhibitor. All right, there's insulin up there. Excuse me for 1 second here. I want to make sure. Muscarinic antagonist. So again, we see phosphatidylcholine, huperazine A. It's a Chinese club moss, Bacopa. Again, I want to pick things that I've already kind of seen. So I know zinc. I've already seen that. Copper. So now I know I need my minerals. I need zinc, calcium, copper, and I think there was another one that we mentioned previously. I hope you're taking notes. So we want to find something that's got a bunch of minerals in it, right? Because I could go out and buy individual supplements, or I could find something that has it all in it. We've already seen rosemary listed. So that might be a good option. We've already seen curcumin. What else have we already seen? So andrographis is weak. So we've already looked at ginger. We've looked at dantian, licorice root, sulforaphane, propolis, fucoidian, or bladderwrack. These are all going to be great compounds to impact the function of the choline receptor in order to get more oxygen into the lung. Okay? So again, this is how we extract nuggets from the cards. If they're going to reference something, a bunch of choline receptors, we should probably go find out how to modulate the colon receptors and then find out why they're doing that. Okay, colon receptor, again, I did colon receptor plus corona. And this is what it says here. Improves oxygenation, reduces reduces inflammation, and all the good stuff. Okay, all the good things and stuff. I'm not going to go through this whole paper. I'm just showing you. Pseudoreceptor antagonist in acute respiratory distress syndrome, much more than muscle relaxant. Okay, this stuff's like gold, man. Love it. Hope you guys are staying with me. Man, we've already been at an hour and a half, and I haven't even got to the gene cards yet. Okay. We're jumping around a lot. My apologies. I'm trying to stay focused here. So there's a lot of information to sift through, to hone in on the commonalities held in the compounds even. Right? Nobody wants to take 50 different supplements to get at this. You want to find the compounds that are going to hit multiple points to have the most impact and more bang for your buck. That's the point. Okay, so if CAT or catalase is the first cell interactor protein that basically regulates the function of ACE, let's look up catalase. Red light turn to green. Let's see here, CAT gene. Close some of this stuff down here. Cat. The cat in the hat. The cat ran up the tree. Okay, so catalase is a heme enzyme, so it has to do with iron, right? And the blood cell, right? Red blood cell, iron, all this stuff. Let's see. Catalase converts reactive oxygen species hydrogen peroxide to water and oxygen. What does the coronavirus do again, people? Depletes your body's ability to intake basically oxygen. Okay, and thereby mitigates the toxic effect of hydrogen peroxide. So let me explain how this works. You get an infection, your body releases hydrogen peroxide to help kill the virus. Okay, and this particular gene helps to convert that whole process into water and oxygen when it's done killing the virus. Does that make sense? Catalase. It also reduces oxidative stress, i.e. reactive oxygen species, right? Because a lot of times oxidative stress, like especially in elderly people, by the time they turn the age of, let's say, 40, their body does no longer produce these antioxidant enzymes that they once did when they were a kid. That's why when they were little, you know, when you're 2-3 years old, you can run around like an idiot and trip and fall and get bruised, and you'll get right back up. Try that when you're 55 and see what happens. That's oxidative stress. It's that rusting phenomenon on the inside of the body, for those who don't know that. Okay, so you've got three antioxidant enzymes: glutathione, superoxide dismutase, and catalase that your body produces naturally. Okay, so among its related pathways are the innate immune system. It's related to ALS. That's what they're saying. What else? Play a role in the development of many chronic or late onset diseases such as diabetes. Okay, asthma. So if you've got asthma, you're going to be more susceptible to, let's say, a respiratory infection, number one. But even here, they're saying neurodegenerative diseases like Alzheimer's and even autoimmune issues as well, such as lupus and rheumatoid arthritis, and also cancer. This gene is involved with. Okay. So how do we increase catalase? thereby impacting ACE2 is the question that I'm asking myself. How do I improve the function of catalase to impact ACE, the #1 receptor / gene for the 2019 corona novel virus? That's what I'm asking myself, right? Logically thinking here. Again, scrolling down to see what kind of compounds they may or may not have listed. Okay, you can look at the pathways. Again, these are all clickable links. Okay, detoxification of reactive oxygen species, longevity-related pathways, innate immune system. In other words, the function of the innate immune system directly impacts your longevity factors. That's how you can kind of piece that together, and the ability of your body to be able to detox. Catalase is very important. Yeah. So how do we regulate this? They've got 21 compounds listed here. We see oxygen. Here's one, maybe a nice CBD oil. Okay. Lots of those companies out there. A nice CBD will modulate the function of catalase, thereby impacting ACE2. Otherwise, they would not list it as one of the compounds on the drug card or the drugs for catalase. Okay. We see obviously water, right? They do teach that if you have asthma or a respiratory infection, make sure you stay hydrated, because that helps your body to release some of the mucus in your lung. Okay. Very important. Again, medical cannabis, CBD, water, oxygen, and then we've got hydrogen peroxide here, right? I'm not going to touch on that right now. Hydrogen peroxide, there's food grade hydrogen peroxide therapies out there. Again, this is not medical advice that has shown to be able to improve oxygenation in the body. Okay, food grade hydrogen peroxide therapy. It's pretty cheap too. So just saying, I'm not telling you to go out and do that. That is a very complex. There's very specific protocols behind that. Unless you know what you're doing, you could seriously injure yourself. So please be advised. That's my little caveat. But we see another mineral here. So we've got a bunch of minerals that we need, for sure, 100%. Okay? And CBD will modulate catalase. Okay? So what else can we do? Let's see if we can cross-reference catalase plus herb. Let's see which herb. Let's see. What herb can we take? I think they sell catalase in a bottle if you wanted to do that as well. But there are herbs, very specific herbs and compounds found in nature that will naturally upregulate these types of things. Yeah. Go out and find yourself a good, let's say, NRF2 activator. We'll also do that. We'll upregulate glutathione, superoxide dismutase, and all those sorts of things. So let's see, chaga. I know chaga mushroom is one of those such compounds. Let's see, that upregulates catalase, and I believe Prunella vulgaris also does that. There we go. Antioxidant activities. Again, catalase is a natural antioxidant. That's what it is. So again, Prunella vulgaris to the rescue yet again. Okay, there's the study. Talks about it. I'm not going to click on it. We don't have time. I'm just showing you what compounds you can start employing right away. Okay, physical characteristics. Significantly increases catalase. Significantly. You see that? 2019 study, plant morphology, physiological characteristics. Heck, I might want to click on that. Just because I know what's up with Prunella vulgaris under solar exclusion. I don't know. I'm not going to read through this whole thing, but they do mention catalase in here. Chlorophyll, all these sorts of things. So you can start reading these studies, educate yourself. I know for a fact that chaga mushroom is one thing that will upregulate it, so will Prunella vulgaris, aside from CBD that they have listed here. Yeah, and manganese. So red light, we're just looking at this one gene so far. Again, just to backtrack, they're listing ACE2, angiotensin 1 converting enzyme 2. They said that this virus is most closely associated with SARS, and that it's actually called severe acute respiratory syndrome. That's the actual name of it, is SARS-CoV, not the this other one, COVID-19. That's not the actual name of it. This is. So then we're looking at SARS. So I just wanted to backtrack a little bit to get us back on track. Then we clicked on that. We looked and saw which compounds they listed for drugs for ACE2. Then we went outside of the scope of the cards and looked at an ACE2 inhibitor. Then we clicked on the interactive DNA string network to see which red node controlled the function of ACE2. We found out it was catalase. We found out that CBD and manganese and all these sorts of things will upregulate catalase. Now let's see what controls the function of catalase. What is the red node? So now what we're doing right now is we're peeling the onion back a little bit. Peeling the onion back, layer by layer, connecting the dots on these string networks. So we see here GSS is the red node for cat. So now we're basically 2 layers deep and peeling the onion back. We see that it's a glutathione gene. Okay? So we'll probably look that up. GSS. Connecting the dots, red light, turn to green. GSS gene. There it is. Now there's a genetic home reference, right? This gene provides instructions for making glutathione. So this may be perhaps why a compound like NAC or N-acetylcysteine may work so well, because it's literally one of the precursors for glutathione synthesis. It also helps with lung function. NAC. I'm not telling you to go out and get it. I'm just telling you how this stuff works. Okay. That's all fine and dandy. That's all great information. But what are they going to list down here? We see that it has magnesium ion binding and glycine binding. Well, we saw glycine max earlier, didn't we? And we already know we need a bunch of minerals. Calcium, zinc, copper, magnesium. We need all the stuff, all the minerals. Very important. Right? What else? They'll give you clues. You just got to read through this stuff, guys. There's cysteine, or NAC, as I just mentioned. Okay? And copper. Yet again, it's twice we've seen copper now. So that would be extremely beneficial. I hope you're taking notes on what you can do for this issue. So they're not going to list, doesn't look like they're going to list a super pathway for glutathione. I don't see an interactive DNA string network for it. So we'll probably stop there. Right? That's basically the end of the road for ACE2. Leads right to glutathione. So catalase and glutathione, yes, are going to be extremely important in relation to the function of ACE2. That makes sense? Peeled the onion back. A couple layers deep by the red nodes on the interactive DNA string networks. Did you see how I did that? Let me do that again for you. These are the interactive DNA string networks. We clicked on that. That gave us a red node, which was CAT. We saw a bunch of calcium genes down here. And we could even take it a step further because you've got all these calmodulin genes, COM1, COM2, COM3 down here are probably going to greatly impact the function of ACE2 as well. We could probably search for that. Let me see if I have anything in my database. Maybe, maybe not. There we go. Calmodulin modulator. Proline. Vinpocetine. Resveratrol. CBD. What else we got? All kinds of stuff. We see all these. There's spermidine. We talked about that earlier. There's some algae here. There's fucoidium again. All of these I have documented previously will impact the function of calmodulin. Calm and cam. Calm cam. All right. These are really important genes, guys. If you've been following me for a while, you know that I keep saying that calcium sits in the middle of the entire system. Calcium signaling per se. Okay, got myristic acid, which is basically coconut, or even MTC oil, or lauric acid, or monolaurin. All these things are derived from coconut. Okay. Vinpocetine. So you can start piecing this stuff together and formulating a plan of action. Berberine's great for calcium signaling. All good stuff. Okay. I've done my homework, to say the least. So we can shore up this side of the equation, shore up this side of the equation, and start looking at all of the functionality of these choline genes over here. We basically want to control all the import and export surrounding the ACE2 so that there's no wiggle room, right? Imagine you're in a ship or a boat and you're paddling upstream against this virus or whatever, and you got a bunch of holes in your boat, and we're plugging up the holes here. That's what we're doing. Okay, so then you can start looking at what's this other gene over here? AGT is pretty close to ACE2. I'm just showing you how you can use these cards. AG2, that's an angiotensin gene. AG2, body fluid electrolyte homeostasis. Well, what are electrolytes? Those are your minerals, right? I don't have to be a genius to know that this gene and the function of it is going to be greatly impacted just by this little clue that they leave here. Electrolyte homeostasis. But just for the giggles, I almost said a bad word there. Let's look at the gene. Oh, where'd it go? AG2 gene. And we're getting close on 2 hours. I want to respect people's time, but we've gone over a lot of ground here. Gone over a lot of ground. Let's see, helps regulate salts in the blood. That's all good. I want the gene card because that's going to give you the most information, right? If you wanted a dumbed down version of it, so to speak, go back to genetics home reference. What I just showed you there, that link. And here it is, responsible to lowered blood pressure. There's ACE, there's the mention of ACE, maintaining blood pressure, bodily fluid, and electrolyte homeostasis, and is involved in the pathogenesis of essential hypertension and preeclampsia. So that's what it does. Involved with microRNAs. What is corona? An RNA virus? Makes sense. Yeah. What else does it do? Or how can we modulate it per se, right? And are they going to leave any clues in here with this highly technical jargon? Because remember, it's sitting pretty close up here to ACE2. So let's see if they're going to list anything. We already know it's a lot of it has to do with electrolytes. Let's see what you got for us. Anything. 27 compounds. Also, we already know that they listed chloride, right? Again, minerals, calcium, zinc, liver extracts. Liver extracts are great for B vitamins. Nobody eats organs anymore in this world, at least in this country. But they've got ACE inhibitor listed, calcium channel blocker, which would basically be calmodulin modulator, right? Angiotensin 2, that's ACE2 inhibitor pretty much. And then they've also got an HMG coenzyme A reductase inhibitor. Let's see what we've got over here for that. Now you could go outside the scope and find this information. HMG danchin, again, C. buckthorn. There they are. There's the studies here that list all those compounds below. I would probably go with Chinese red sage in this equation, just because I already know it's going to hit ACE2. And then eventually, when we get to that information, it's going to hit this gene here. And I'll show you how that works once we start covering the super pathways. Because you can do red light turned to green on the super pathways. Where's ACE2? Excuse me. Let me just show you. Let's see, ACE2. Let's go back over to the Malacards. There it is. So again, SARDs, they're listing the innate immune system here. And this is going to be kind of an introduction into class 3 and 4. The innate immune system super path cards. We can scroll down and it will list the red node. Why is the red node important? Because it's the first shell interacting protein. In other words, I have found evidence over and over and over again that the red node usually controls the function of the other genes. So why would that be any different than when we're looking at the path cards? It's not. It's not different. So we're always looking for the red node. And I don't know why that's not loading. It's basically CEACAM1 is the red node, is the gene. We can look that up, figure out what it does, what makes it tick, what makes it not tick. There it is, CEACAM1 and an Exin 2. extremely important. So again, I'm putting this paper together on the coronavirus, and CEACAM1 interacts with this gene PTPN11. And if we look up PTNN1, eventually we're going to get there. I'm just going to show you guys a little bit of nugget right here because we're coming up on the close of this particular class. Let's put that in here, PTNN1. And we can look, figure out what compounds modulate that. So what are we doing here? We're looking at the gene, the main gene listed for SARS, right? We're looking at the interactive DNA string networks, or the protein to protein interaction. We're looking at all the dots that surround that gene, and we're looking at different ways we can modulate the interactions surrounding the function of ACE2, thereby modulating the function of the actual virus. Okay, am I saying any of these compounds are going to cure corona? Heck no. Why would I say that? That's not for me to decide. What I'm telling you though is if we can control the main gene and all the pathways surrounding it, then we have a very good chance of making a huge impact, right? And they even leave little clues up here like ROCK2 is important, MAPK signaling, all this stuff. But what do they list for? You see toll-like receptor 4. Well, that's going to be pretty big deal. We're talking about viruses. Toll-like receptor are basically pattern recognition genes. They recognize foreign invaders. So this gene crosstalks with toll-like receptor 4. Most health professionals understand what a toll-like receptor is, hopefully. But they've got 10 compounds listed here. We see sodium ornovanadate. And what else they got listed here? Right? Most of these are going to be drugs. So what do we do? If they're not giving us, this is an actual, that's a natural compound. You can actually get that in a supplement. Sodium, here, I'll just look it up for you real quick. We got a little bit of time here. At least I believe you can, or you may even be able to get it. It's basically vanadium. This is a derivative of that, right? Let's see, vanadate. Take that off, because a lot of times they'll leave the clues. This is just a different chemical composition of it. Okay, so you can look that stuff up. I'm getting off track here. However, so if they don't list anything under this area here for a natural compound, then what we do is we go over to the mechanism of action and we look up a natural PTP inhibitor. And then we find that a study like this, in which it lists danchin, where you take the outside the scope of the cards, they'll always leave you a clue. Always. They never will not leave you a clue. Ever. They always leave you a clue. Okay? There it is. PTPN11. That is danchin. Chinese red sage, guys. Okay? So again, maybe they need to update their database. How about I give them a call, huh? I don't know. I don't know. No, I'm just telling you, when they don't give you anything, you can always look at the mechanism of action and search outside the scope of that. So I'll show you how I got there. I did natural PTP inhibitor plus herb. There it is. It was the top link. That's not so well known. Only 16,000 result. Okay. I'm very thankful that this guy, whoever these people are, did this study. Very thankful. Otherwise, I would not know this information. So now we see Danchin hits all different kinds of pathways involved with the genes associated with the coronavirus. Tons of different pathways, right? And so you can start closing this stuff down here. So we know that we need to upregulate our antioxidant enzymes in relation to ACE2. What else can we do here? What this other gene surrounding catalase? If you're paying attention, you may have noticed just on the closeout up here, as we come to a close for this particular class. If you look at this map, they're listing this one as the red node. Yeah. So that when you actually click on the link, it lists a different one. But we see that that's still in one of the top areas, right? Usually most of the action are going to be in these top 5 here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 genes. So because they're listing that as the red node, I may want to look at that just to see what it is. And maybe if there's a compound that we may or may not have in our toolbox, because we've listed tons of compounds already that will impact the function of ACE2. Yeah. What's the leukocyte adhesion deficiency? That will take you back to the Malacards, and it will show you. In fact, let me show you, because a lot of times, if you clicked on this link, if it's in fact this gene's associated with leukocyte adhesion deficiency, oh, they didn't take you to the Malacards. That's interesting. It's usually Malacards. What I was going to show you, though, let me see if they do it for this one. Yep, Malacard. And you went down and looked at, there it is, leukocyte adhesion deficiency. So they're mentioning that. You can come down here, and sometimes you get lucky and they'll list compounds for the actual malady. So if they do that, obviously whatever natural compounds they have listed off the side of that link is going to impact the function of this gene. Does that make sense? So that's an end around of how you can find compounds, and then all you do is cross-reference that outside the scope of the cards to figure out if you're right or not. And usually you are. Yeah. So what do they have here? Any compounds? Magnesium, calcium. So we see how important minerals are, guys. Gotta have your minerals. Gots to. Okay. What else? We could even go red light on that one. See what controls, what's surrounding. Oh, that looks, there's a corona. Corona. Is that corona? Holy moly, guacamole. Corona. Where art thou, corona? Anybody got a line? Holler if you hear me, though. Coronin. Boy, it sounds a lot like corona to me. Just saying. Coronin. That is fascinating to me. I'm going to look that up real quick. Just for shits and giggles. There, I said it. It's searchable. What makes it tick? Coronin. Coronin-like protein. Oh, what's the alias to it? That's so interesting to me. Oh, I'm getting hungry, guys. You see that? They're calling it a taco. Calling it a taco. Tryptophan, aspartame containing coat protein. Taco for short. I'm getting hungry and I feel like going to have a Corona with a lime. I do not know about you, but they're saying it's related to immunodeficiency 8 and Coronin 1A deficiency and all this good stuff. You got to laugh at this stuff, guys, because when you can look at this data and you know how to do what I'm teaching you, DNA diligence, red light, turn to green, dissect the malloc cards, the path cards, the gene cards, all the good stuff. It's comical. And we're talking about a gene that sounds a lot like Corona. It's called Coronin. And they're talking about tacos. I think I'll have to make me some tacos after this. I do love me some Mexican food, that's for sure. Italian and Mexican, if anybody's cooking. Love that stuff. Let's see here. Global development delay, hyperactivity, immunodeficiency. Let's expand that out, those phenotypes there. Lymphoma, recurrent respiratory infection. Interesting. You have to laugh at these. You cannot laugh. You got to laugh. I know it's serious stuff. So they're not going to list any compounds for it. But if I needed to, I can do red light, turn to green on that sucker right there and see what makes it tick. The red node is the red node. The buck stops there. You go green, red light, turn to green. Did you see how I did that? The red node is the red node. In other words, what's the red node for Coronin 1A? You click on the interactive DNA string network for it, right? And the red node is the red node. What do? You go green. Red light, turn to green. Stuff works like a charm. Every time, 100%. It never not works. I've never not had it work. I've been doing it for years. What makes this gene tick? We've looked at a lot of genes here, but we've also figured out many different compounds that hit these pathways simultaneously so we can minimize what we need, all right? Estrogen-related receptor. What else? Caspase, apoptosis. What else? They give us any hints? If I had time, I'd probably start looking some of this stuff up. I don't think I've ever looked at this gene before. DNA binding, cleft lip. What do we got? No compounds. So we know that it's caspase related, involved with Huntington's disease pathway. Hedgehog, there's a clue. There's a clue, hedgehog. Watch this. Hedgehog, that's a clue, guys. Hedgehog signaling plus corona virus. Okay, and we're coming up on 2 hours. I've got 48,000 results. What's it going to do? How about just viruses? Take corona out of there because there's one of those journals that is making coronavirus research free. So anytime you cross-reference the word coronavirus when you're looking for a study, it's always Nature's Journal. Pops up everywhere. So we see how hedgehog signaling is involved with a bunch of viral activity here. 950,000 result. Influenza directly modulates hedgehog signaling. Okay, so then I could go natural hedgehog, let's say inhibitor. I always look for inhibitor first before I look for agonist. Inhibitor plus herb. What do we got? Natural compounds, sonic hedgehog signaling. There. Yeah. Lots of stuff. I know that's ginger. I've already seen that a few times already. So I know ginger is going to impact the gene that's related to tacos. Okay. Tacos, baby. Coronas and tacos. Let's go put some ginger. Let's have a ginger Corona beer with some lime and some tacos. Literally. Okay. All right. Well, I'm going to close out. I got to get back to the family and get some lovin's in. So I hope you guys enjoyed this. Next class or training, we'll start getting into some of the other genes and signaling pathways that they've got listed. Right, we'll start talking about maybe APN and DPP4 and maybe some other of these top closely related genes that have scores next to them. Right, these top three, I'd say probably these top four are going to be real important to control. And if we can find compounds that will do the job of hitting all four of these receptors, that's called winning. And we're winners here, okay? Because we like our tacos and we like our Coronas and we like our limes. Because that's what winners do. That's what they eat. If you guys aren't eating that stuff, you're not a winner. I'm just saying. Okay? Nothing but love. I am out. And we'll see you next Wednesday.